there to honor and respect the past and present connection of Indigenous peoples with this land, its waterways, and resources. I have a motion that Council approves the agenda of session 1-2026 is circulated. Do I have a mover? Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Capes. Any discussion of the agenda? Any opposition? Seeing none, motion passes. I have a motion that Council approves the minutes of session 22-2025 as circulated. Do I have a mover? Councillor Capes moves, seconded by Councillor Mantalo. Any corrections? Oh, Elaine?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, there were 2 recorded votes, and when I reviewed the minutes, I wasn't listed as a yay or a nay, and I believe I participated. So one of us on the asset management plan, and I voted nay against option 2 because I didn't think it would be wise to go back to just doing a 2.2% increase over the last 5 years of that plan. I would prefer option 1, which was a consistent increase that would keep us level instead of putting us back where we were. I remember making that comment, so I must have voted no, and it's not reflected in the minutes. The other instance was the final budget. I'm not listed there either.
Fred?
If I missed you, Councillor Capes, my apologies. I will review the notes and video to confirm at what point you left the meeting, and if indeed, again, if I've left you off, my apologies, and that'll be corrected.
Okay, thank you very much. I just, I didn't go back and check the video, but I know it's recorded that I left the meeting at noon, and I thought I participated in those votes, but perhaps not.
So just a question for Fred. Is there a way by which we can revisit and amend the minutes to reflect Councillor Cape's position? Because these are 2 important votes that we've had, and I think everybody deserves to be on the record.
Absolutely. If I've made an error in the minutes, they'll be corrected.
Okay.
Then we shouldn't pass them today.
Sorry, Lane. I don't remember you being here for the budget one. But which is fine. That's just my memory and your memory, and we'll look at the video, right?
Right.
Which we can.
Yeah, I don't trust my memory.
Yeah, we know our videos are real, right? Our videos are real.
I do know that,
Yeah.
I do recall that you left at 12 o'clock sharp.
Yes, I did.
And of course, it's rather interesting that we have discussions about recorded votes when, in fact, everything is recorded one way or the other. You know,
That's true.
It's ironic.
Right. So can I ask a process question? So when we're away or when we're unable to come, this council has been very good, I think, to really endeavor to get online and be involved, because your vote and your opinion is important. But if you weren't here, your opinion, I mean, we value your opinion, but if it weren't here, it's not part of the vote, right? Right? Like, or your vote, like.
I agree. You can't go
Right,
backwards and change something.
No, I'm just, so I'm just asking that that's why we make the effort to come online and participate, because if we're away and unable to participate, even though there's quorum and decisions are made, your personal input, it's not there. Right?
I don't mind recognizing a member of council speaking to a matter that they've missed and indicating on the record which way they would have voted had they been present. I think that's just a matter of courtesy.
I agree. I think it is courtesy. I was just asking about the process part of it. Is that allowed? Yes, right?
Well, the minutes technically are a record of the decisions made by council,
Yeah.
not the debate that led to the decision. So that's the goal of minutes, So while there may be some context included in the minutes, the actual official record is the resolution.
Okay, is it the wish that we pass these minutes or wait until the next meeting to find out?
Wait,
I suggest, because this isn't a simple change, Your Worship, if I may recommend, we just defer this so that I can check the official records and see if I've made an error and correct it and bring those back to council.
Okay, let's do that then. We have no proclamations, public question period. Fred?
We received one question online in advance, Your Worship, and the question is, will council put a non-binding referendum question on the 2026 municipal ballot asking residents if they support a change to award electoral system for the 2030 municipal election? And then that was submitted by Mr. McCrae, who added some context and background, noting that council in the previous term had struck an electoral reform task force. That task force had recommended that council switch to a ward system, but council decided not to pursue that in 2021.
Well, I know where I stand on this, but I'm open to members of council indicating their position on it, and then I'll have something to say under notice of motion. Councillor Capes?
Thank you. I would like to know, have we ever had a question on the municipal ballot?
I can't speak to the entire history of the town of Mono, not in recent memory.
Because I don't recall one going back as far as 2010, so that was just a question. And I'll give my opinion that no, I do not think that there is a requirement to go to a ward system. That only sets up conflict and confrontation about, I represent these people, I represent these people, and we know that Councillor Davey has mentioned many times, we represent every single resident, and I think that is the best approach. So that's my opinion, anyway.
Any other thoughts? Councillor Davey?
Thank you very much. Thanks, Elaine, for those thoughts. I'm new, as you know, so I don't know what happened in the last term. I only started watching when latterly. And so the idea that you did have a task force and the idea that you did have a report and that you didn't, that there was a decision made, is that what the implication is? A decision to not follow the report. So my question then goes, is it kind of like the chicken bylaw survey thing where we didn't have very big input and so it wasn't felt that it really was representative of what the residents want? Since in actual fact, Elaine, you're right, it pits people against each other and there are some pitfalls. But if it really truly is what the population thinks, because we are getting more, just the world is more divisive and everything's more divisive and the new recycle bins make it divisive. Like there's a whole bunch of things that perhaps it would be worth entertaining, whether it really is or whether it is just another case of some people who have some strong feelings and are not understanding the larger ramifications of why there was a decision to ignore their request.
Fred?
yeah, I would agree with everything that Elaine said. I was against the ward system the last time it appeared before council, for exactly the reasons that Elaine said. However, given that, I think it would be not very fair of us, if we can put a question on the ballot, to at least seek the opinion of our residents. And if it's a non-binding referendum, fine, let's hear their opinion. I still am going to stick to my opinion that I think representing everyone in the municipality is the best way to go.
Any thoughts, Ralph?
Well, from where I sit and having been exposed to issues all around the town for about almost 12 years now, I recognize that we have a system here which is very good for the residents because we have 4 people plus the mayor, who can respond to anybody's concern. And so somebody may think that they have an issue that I should deal with, and I might say, well, Fred's actually in a better position to deal with this. So we have a really good situation here where 4 people represent all areas, and from my observation of how this has taken place in various issues, there's really good representation of all areas of the town by all of the councillors. So I think we have a much superior system than what Bob is suggesting here. I don't think that residents would realize that because they haven't had the opportunity to sit back where I have. So I'm not in favor of putting it on as a referendum. I think that council is quite capable of making good decisions on this, and I would not support having a ward system because I think it is quite inferior. Furthermore, if you're going to have, I don't know how many wards we'd have, 3 or 4 wards, I suppose, the chance that you're going to have competition in each of these wards is very slight. Right now, we have a competition for council. We take the 3 best people with the highest vote, and I think that that's a better system than having a competition for each of 4 different wards, for example.
So that last point, I think, is something that is very persuasive. Just a little bit on the history of wards in Dufferin County. Town of Orangeville had a ward system for maybe 100 years, and it was discovered in the late 1980s, early 1990s, that they had been conducting election after election after election without reflecting the fact that they were obliged to do so under a ward system. And a local lawyer who loved to make mischief brought this to everyone's attention, and they had to do some very fancy legal footwork to make valid all of the bylaws that had been passed during that period of time by councils that technically weren't constituted properly. The only referendum that I'm familiar with and very familiar with was a referendum in 1988, 89 in the town of Orangeville, where the citizenry were asked whether they favored a 2-lane Broadway or a 4-lane Broadway with all the bells and whistles of a highway. And the result of that was a 2-lane Broadway. So the citizens had a chance to weigh in on what was then a very controversial issue. I think a couple of things are significant here. Number one, it's non-binding for a reason, and that is that under the Municipal Act, I'm told by our clerk, a binding referendum has to have something like a 60% turnout of the electorate, which of course is, or something thereabouts. It's never going to happen. The other thing to be aware of is that the council is not bound by the result of the referendum. So this is not a situation where we're forced to do it. It's just seeking public opinion as to whether or not it's a good idea. I will be serving a notice of motion for the next meeting to at least put this issue of a non-binding referendum to council for a vote. Yeah.
Oh, so we're just discussing it now, but we're really going to be discussing it when you bring a motion?
Well, we'll be discussing it again.
Because I mean, I think it's like so many things. The public education of us on issues and history, and education also of the public, rather than just responding to one person's query or a loud person's query.
Well,
right?
I think it's a legitimate question, given the fact that a committee set up by council made a recommendation, and for whatever reason at the time it was turned down. I still find it appealing. I think it's a bit of a misnomer to suggest that if you're representing a southern ward, as an example, that you do not actively engage on town-wide matters or matters that pertain to the north end of the municipality. It simply says that your focus, but not exclusive focus, is on your ward. So I think we can fully debate this when we have a motion Elaine, and then I'll move on.
Your worship, your microphone is not working well.
That's,
So I hear every other word that you're saying, so that's how it's being recorded.
I'll move.
The other microphones seem to be okay. I'm not sure what
No, it's-
that is.
it's how close I am to the mic, probably.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
That's much better. That's much clearer. Thank you very much. And if this did come before the last term of council, there are 4 people who were on that term of council who would have responded to this. So anyway, enough said about this. If it's coming back, we'll talk about it then. Thank you.
I'll have a notice of motion and we can have a more fulsome debate.
It was before the last year of the last term.
That's right. It was very early on. So it's not a new idea. And we do have neighboring municipalities in Simcoe County that have ward systems as an example. Okay, any other questions, Fred?
And to that point that you brought that up, it doesn't work well for them.
Well, I wouldn't want to get into diagnosing Simcoe County. There's many things that come into play.
There were no other questions submitted online, Your Worship.
Thank you. Yeah. So we have no delegations today. Under unfinished business, we have the list. Any comments on the list, Elaine?
I very much appreciate the work that staff is doing behind the scenes on a number of these. We have 7 items all for Q1. And this is meeting number 1 of January, which I know that there's one that we're going to take care of today. But I am going to push again for all of those connected to planning. So number 7, large residential homes. And number 17, outdoor rural lighting. I have had 2 more citizens come to me to complain about outdoor lighting on some neighboring properties. And there's 3 different locations. So I guess it's becoming a thing.
Mike, any thoughts on moving the planning items along?
So the draft report for large residential homes was reviewed last week, first week of the year. It's in our planners' hands for discussion, and I'm hoping to have it for the next meeting. The outdoor rural lighting is subject to a meeting between the consultant that's doing our OP and the consultant that's doing our ZBA, zoning bylaw and official plan. Because it's best thought to be taken care of through those processes, and that meeting is occurring on January 20th or 21st, I believe. So expecting something for council in the coming month or so with respect to that.
Thank you. Ralph?
Thank you very much.
Item number 12, the Hockley Historic Community Hall and Church. I've had some, 13, sorry. I've had some interest in knowing what was happening from people who are supporting maintaining these structures. I'm wondering if there's any progress from CIO.
So the CAO, I'm ready to bring a report to council, but there was some discussions with respect to some communications with between John and other people.
Other interested parties.
Other interested parties.
I have to admit that I have not followed up on that. I will by the next meeting.
Thank you.
If I can, I'd like to raise number 26, which is the tractor trailer issue, and I think this was put on the list at the request of Councillor Capes. We are, again, seeing properties that are being converted over into storage lots. And I'm worried that it's going to get out of our control. So I just put that out there, that we really need to move on this as quickly as possible. The offending property is on the 10th Side Road near Huron-Ontario Street, subject of a number of phone calls to me, and it's on Fred's radar.
Well, also, I think we all got calls on it, and the appropriate thing was to direct that it be, that if this is something new, because we're not driving around on the side roads all the time looking behind barns to see what's going on, that it's important that residents, if it's near them, that they're seeing it, that they make a bylaw application on, and that was done, and so it's in the works, right? We've got there was, what's the word? Not a complaint. Complaint's not the right word. Is it that right word? Is it just a complaint is the right word? Anyway, there were two in December, and so now here we are in January, and I mean, the bylaw will take its course, right?
This is, and I'm going to jump in ahead of Elaine, but I suspect she'll say much the same thing, and that is, this isn't a situation of bylaw enforcement so much as it is strengthening our official plan, strengthening our zoning, so that these situations, it becomes crystal clear that these are not welcome in the town of Mono Lane.
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. And also, I do know that we are effective with our bylaw reporting, as you say, Melinda. When somebody raises a concern, I direct them to fill out the complaint form, and they've done that, and a situation has been cleared. I do know that. So it works when, we follow the process, and it was taken care of. So that's a positive.
Anything else on the list that anyone wants to raise? Seeing none, that takes us to backyard chicken bylaw. Fred, and I think we have a motion to give third and final reading, but Fred first and then Elaine.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's just, I have a question. I know when the first draft of this bylaw was presented, there was some suggestion that the setback limits of, is it 3 meters from the property line or buildings was a bit tight, particularly for smaller properties. Now, I don't want to change the draft bylaw that we have today, but what I'm wondering, Mr. Simpson, is if we pass the bylaw, it becomes the bylaw, what if we actually find that 3 meters is too restrictive for some properties? Do we have the option of either making an exception or B, I mean, I can answer the second question. I guess we could always amend the bylaw in the future. I don't know, make it 2 meters. I don't know what the right length should be. 3 meters, is it 3 meters? I think it is. Yeah, but that's, okay, I'm just.
So the question is, is there an appeal mechanism to the provisions of the bylaw, or do we need to amend the bylaw?
So the bylaw does not include any appeal mechanism whatsoever, so it would be a denial of license at this point, and council could consider amending the bylaw.
Melinda?
Thank you very much. Good point, because I know that's something that when you read through again. When you read through the comments from the very few people who did respond, multiple times, that is an issue for people who have smaller lots. But I think we do have to remember that this is a pilot project. And the actual interest, the actual number of people who are interested in that, right? So I kind of think that we should just kind of go ahead with it as opposed to muddying it to allow an appeal at this stage of being whatever. I had Well, I have the mic answering that. Can I say just a couple of other things? I did notice now on the third or fourth time of reading the bylaw that right at the beginning, there's a little typo, and there may be another one. That was the only one that I saw. In the definition, it says mans instead of means. The very first one for the definitions. Annual license cap mans, the maximum, as opposed to means. And so because we have these definitions and everything, and again, in deference to, we did ask opinions, the few people gave them, that it's too bad that there's a few of them, but their opinions are important. And there's so many of them in their comments seem to really not, I don't know, whether you don't, it's like I didn't pick up the typo the first few times reading it. Did they not read it? Did they not understand it? But the idea that this shouldn't be in the rural part of the town, we shouldn't be regulating this, and we regulate too much and everything. And clearly, it's later on. You got to get down to item number 4, before it outlines about the zoning, that this bylaw only is. But I wondered if maybe there was some way in the definitions or something right off the bat to identify that this is not in the rural part, and that this really is just for the settlement. Again, just to be clear for the people who seem not to be clear.
Fred?
So in the bylaws, on the definition of property, it states that a property is a property in the town of Mono zoned other than rural A. So this bylaw applies to all other property zones. Now, that does leave a small little gap because there are a couple of dozen rural A properties in Mono that are less than 1 acre, and our zoning bylaw allows chickens on 1 acre and larger. So there are a few properties in there that are rural A that are less than 1 acre, where they're kind of in a gray zone here.
Would council be happy with a slight amendment to the motion that it state keeping of backyard chickens in other than rural areas in the town of Mono?
Well, yeah, that would be helpful, because I know we had a great debate about this before and everything, but it just, reading the stuff again, it just really does seem to be something that, of course, once we pass this, then there's going to be a whole bunch of more people who it becomes on their radar.
That's what I'm trying to preclude, is in changing that's basically changing the title of the
So I
bylaw.
think, yes, I think
So
that
it's
would be
clear
good.
that we're not talking about rural Mono.
I think that would, because it just says town of Mono. I think that would be a good thing. Can we do that?
Sure. Like I say, it's in the bylaw, and that bylaw is what's going to be used, but if council wants to rename the bylaw, I don't see a problem with that.
Yes, absolutely. Just change the wording of the motion. Yeah. Elaine, anything? Elaine?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I just have a little niggly thing. Schedule A, the fine set for slaughter on property of said animals. I don't think $500 is enough. I think it should be $750, as it is with obstructing a bylaw officer. Like, slaughtering on your property is not allowed. And I think there needs to be a heavier set fee for that.
Fred, can you put this into a context? Because, I mean, having gone to the trouble of getting a permit, why are we then murdering the fowl?
I'm not quite clear on the question, Your Worship.
Well, Elaine says that there's a provision for a fine in the event of the slaughter of chickens on one's property.
And the bylaw states that obviously, there's an offense in the bylaw to support that. That states that you can't slaughter on the property, and that's a best practice as recommended.
Yeah.
I don't recall if that was public health or ministry, but the slaughter of chickens on the property is not a recommended practice.
Well, and we have a
I
prohibition.
agree, but there's a fine schedule that says that the fine is only $500 if you do it.
Just do an informal canvass of council who wants to increase the fine.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a motion.
So, Your Worship, so I missed it. Would council like to see the set fine that we apply, keeping in mind we're asking for these set fines, right? That changed from 500 to 750?
Is that per bird?
I think that would be per event. And again, so, because that change can be made, and if it's accepted by the province, that would be the set fine.
I think I informally tried to see whether there was an appetite to increase from 500, and I didn't get many takers.
I do agree with Elaine that it's a big deal if we say don't do it and you do it. $500 in contrast to the other ones, like it escalates, right, to $250 and then $500 for different things. And I think it is kind of a good idea to have the obstructing the bylaw officer as the worst offense, to really hone in on the fact that, they are officers and you do need to abide by them. So I mean, we've only got 4 chickens, and the question is, you're going to slaughter them when this turns out to be a fiasco, and you would really like to not have them, and nobody will take them because of bird flu. You can't give people chickens anymore. So what do I do with them? And I think that we as the town could be telling people that, you can always take them over for just a few bucks each over to one of the processing units that are around in the vicinity of Mono and have it done. And so that if you still went ahead and did it, $500 is I think it's a pretty hefty fine enough.
Okay. So, can I read the motion? That we give third and final reading to a bylaw to regulate and license the keeping of backyard chickens in other than rural areas of the town of Mono. Is that clear? That it be signed by the mayor and clerk for the town of Mono, sealed and engrossed in the bylaw book. Do I have a mover? Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Mantilo. Any further discussion?
I'm not quite clear on where we are with the name. I think we wanted to change the subject to backyard chicken bylaw for non-rural Mono or something like that.
Well, I sort of did in the wording of the motion.
I heard that.
Yeah.
But that will not pop up when they look up backyard chickens.
No, so based on that motion, council, I will rename the bylaw to match that name.
Okay.
I have just a comment, maybe this is the appropriate time to make it. Last spring, the Board of Health cautioned people that we would have a problem, likely due to the migration of birds from the south where bird flu was more common. We didn't, and they don't really understand why, but they still think it's a potential problem. And the problem is really for people exactly like this who have birds that are in outside coops rather than indoors where there's some control over the contact with migrating birds. So I'm just mentioning this so that we keep our eyes open to this as being a potential problem, and if it is, becomes one, we need to very quickly alert the people who have backyard chickens about this and decide what we're going to do.
Thank you very much. Yes, I was very pleased to see that this bylaw really got the stamp of approval from public health, but the bylaw specifically states that these chickens in the settlement areas, in the non-rural areas, are not free-range chickens. They are chickens that are in a coop or in a contained, fenced-in run, in contrast to, so they shouldn't have any interaction with wild birds. I mean, you're trying to mitigate it, obviously. I guess they could poop as they flew by, but they're not, this is not to allow chickens just all around Fieldstone, right? They're in the coops and runs.
Right. Should I comment?
Yes.
I think that's not incorrect. The the concern is for chickens which are exposed to birds from the outside. And a bird that's in a coop, that's well-wired in coop, is quite exposed to some migrating birds. So it's the birds that are enclosed in these massive turkey and chicken facilities where there's double doors, et cetera, that prevent any contact. But you with your birds outside, you really do have some liability there.
Or exposure. Okay, anything further? Any opposed to the motion? Looks like everyone is in favor, the motion is carried. That takes us to the 2026 interim tax levy bylaw. Les, do you have anything to add from your report?
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing to add. Gives us the authorization to mail out the interim tax bill, which will be within the next week or so.
I got mine electronically yesterday.
We are encouraging people to move that way because it does save us on postage.
Right.
Wait a second, we've only just given permission now. So did you really, or did you really?
It looked like it. I haven't opened and scrutinized it, but it looks pretty official.
This rubber stamp we're just getting out here now, is that the thing?
I think only those that were delinquent got early notices.
That could be. They know that they need to tell me well in advance to get paid on time. So I have a motion that we introduce and give the necessary readings to a bylaw to enact an interim tax levy that it be signed by the mayor and clerk for the town of Mono, sealed and engrossed in the bylaw book. Do I have a mover on that? Councillor Capes moves, seconded by Councillor Mangtalo. Any further discussion, debate, or embarrassment? Any opposition? That motion carries. The next item is the 2026 Orangeville Library Agreement, and I will vacate the chair.
Yes, this next report is for the approval of the increase in the Orangeville fee. Fred Simpson, you wrote the report. Do you want to comment on it? Do you want to comment on why there's a 5.5% increase in our fees when Orangeville's budget only went up by 3.3%? That's a bit of a joke.
So no, there's, I don't want to comment on the library board's budget as opposed to the town of Orangeville's budget. I can report that the final invoice from the library has come in since I wrote that report. So I said the 2025 billings to date had been just under $84,000. We can add another $37,500. So the 2025 cost was $121,496. So at that rate that we were paying last year, that's about 600 users. So we are seeing an increase in the annual, or in the rate per resident, and as an increase in the number of residents making use of the library.
Good. All right, we have a motion that I'll put on the floor. I don't have the motions here, but I think it reads that we introduce and give the necessary readings to a bylaw authorizing the town of Mono to enter into a service fee collection agreement with the Orangeville Library Board for 2026, substantially in the form as attached as Schedule A to the bylaw, and that it be signed by the Deputy Mayor and Clerk for the town of Mono, sealed and engrossed in the bylaw book. Do I have a mover? Elaine Capes and Ralph Manklow. Elaine, you have a comment? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. It's a question, really. In the past, we had a 3-year agreement, and now we're going year by year. Is there a reason that we're not having a longer-term agreement with the library, and that we would return to having a 3-year, like maybe at least for the term of council? I don't know. I wondered if that was going to happen.
Mr. Simpson?
So council may recall last year when this agreement came before council, I asked council if they would like me to seek a longer term agreement, and council said no, they preferred the one-year agreements.
I'd forgotten that. Is that okay, Councillor Capes?
Yeah, thank you for helping me with my memory.
Any other comments on the motion on the floor? Yes, Councillor Davey.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So yes, I was wondering about that too, Elaine, and now that I sit on the Shelburne, I'm kind of looking at it a little bit more closely. So it seems like, given this 120,000 for the 600 users, but it's anybody in Mono can go to any library that Mono pays for, right? We need to make that clear to people, right? Because I know that they have a nice new building, but I haven't been in it, the Orangeville Library. But the Shelburne Library, where there's only 135 households that appear to have been used in 2025, in contrast to 600 in Orangeville. Why is it not more even is my question, and that's public or convenience or knowledge, or has it always been that way, that there have been more people that use Orangeville? Because it just seems like so much more money that we're spending on Orangeville.
My guess, Councillor Davey, is that about 45% of our population lives on the outskirts of Orangeville, and Orangeville Library is the closest library.
Just convenience, because there's also Alliston too, right?
Well, yes, and a few people do go to Alliston, but
Right.
that's my guess. Mr. Simpson, do you have anything to add to that? I think it's just convenience.
Okay.
Mr. Simpson wasn't listening, so it's fine.
It's just convenience? It's not that people don't know that they're entitled to go anywhere or whatever?
I have no evidence or information other than anecdotal, and I agree with Deputy Mayor Nix. I suspect it's location. But residents aren't restricted on which library or library system they use based on their address.
Okay, any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? The motion passes. Thank you, Councillor Capes. Does somebody want to go get the mayor?
Does it actually have to have a separate card for each one? There's separate entities.
What are?
Libraries.
Separate colors? Entities. We can move on to the next item while the mayor's coming back. He's probably busy paying his taxes. The next item is the appointment of municipal bylaw enforcement officers. I'll let John take over.
Okay, Fred?
So council will recall at the last meeting in December that we entered into an agreement with Municipal Support Services for the provision of canine control. And to support that, I recommend that we appoint their officers as bylaw officers. That way they can issue Part 1. They can also issue a Part 3 information. And they'll be able to take on the fairly complex task of Dog Owners Liability Act, which right now we've asked the OPP. The OPP sometimes has agreed to take it on and sometimes hasn't, but it's really beyond the capacity of our part-time bylaw officers to pursue the DOLA, Dog Owners Liability Act. This would allow us to use MSS for that as well. And we had 3 DOLA cases in 2025.
Did they result in trials?
Well, they were all taken on by the OPP, so I don't know.
Okay. Those trials are really tough. No, just to preside over the evidence, and then the fact that it's the only offense for which the death penalty is allowed in the country.
What?
The dog could be put down. No, yeah, exactly. It was a JP joke. Any further questions, comments? Okay, I have a motion.
I do have just,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
just,
So in your discussion, we also have that we have an opening now, right? It's in the same discussion. But they have a very broad, nice name, Municipal Support Services. But all they do is dog stuff, right? Or do they do other stuff?
Oh, no, this is a full bylaw enforcement corporation, so they can and are hired by municipalities as the primary bylaw enforcement.
And so this was not completely clear from your memo, because that was my question. Is that what we're doing? Because the list of people, we now have, 12 or 15 people now listed here.
Right, so this company is capable and willing to take on bylaw enforcement. Our agreement with this company is strictly for our dog bylaw. However, with council's direction on a staff recommendation, we could always, if needed, enter into further agreement with them for other bylaw enforcement. We haven't at this point. And as noted in my report, Mr. Lammerding is retiring. So we do only have one part-time bylaw officer. We'll monitor that and see what recommendation we bring to council in the future with respect to more part-time officers, a full-time officer, or the use of MSS under contract.
And I would add to that any other adjacent municipality that might be willing to provide services.
Absolutely, Your Worship, I'd include that under a contract, but a contract with a provider other than MSS.
Correct.
So the town's in a good position to assess what its future needs will be and make a recommendation to council on what is considered the most appropriate course of action.
Elaine and then Ralph.
Thank you, Your Worship. One niggly little thing, under the background paragraph, the last line, it says offices. Is that meant to say officers? Appointed as municipal bylaw enforcement offices for the town of Mono, or officers?
Yeah, that's, so we're looking at the recommendation of my report, yeah, that should say officers.
Yeah, the background, the last line of the background paragraph. Okay, just that. And then I do wish to say that thanks to Eugene for all of his very efficient and dedicated service to Mono. And it's sad to see him leave, and I wish him well and all the best in his retirement. So,
Yes,
thank you, Eugene.
I think we all share that view, and please let him know that we do wish him well. Ralph?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with those comments for sure. Just to clarify, what we presently have, Eugene has been full-time, I believe, and no? He's been how much part-time? How much, half-time, quarter-time?
It clearly varies through the course of the season. During the fall colors, it goes up, but if I had to give an average, I'd say 15 to 20 hours a week.
Okay.
Maybe a little less than that, but on average.
And the other gentleman, I forgot his name, sorry.
Mr. Kirby, very similar.
Yeah, he's similar, so, okay. So our hope is that Mr. Kirby may be able to carry on and be adequate, or you're sort of playing it by ear and wondering whether we should be approaching somebody else?
For the next 3 months, we'll be monitoring closely on how we maintain the level of service. And as soon as as soon as we see a trend that is leading towards not meeting our current level of service, we'll bring a report to council.
Okay, I think it's important that when we need a bylaw officer, that he or she is available.
Yes, if there are no further questions, I have a motion that we introduce and give the necessary readings to a bylaw to amend bylaw 2021-27, appointment of the of municipal bylaw enforcement officers, that it be signed by the mayor and clerk for the town of Mono, sealed and engrossed in the bylaw book. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Capes, and seconded by Councillor Mantalo. Any further discussion? Seeing none, motion presumably is carried if there's no opposition. Thank you. Last item is Bridge 5 property acquisition bylaw.
Yep, thank you. So this is the next phase of this long project. We're just chipping away here. This is a more simply a formality to move on to the next phase to acquire the lands to construct Bridge 5, hopefully starting this May.
Thank you. And Ralph, and then Fred, sorry.
Thank you, Matt. Two questions. In April, you went ahead with the tender, et cetera, and you thought that you'd have permitting and road outlinings would be in place, but what happened last April? Why were we not able to proceed?
I can't go into all the details. I'd have to discuss in council, but
Okay.
in camera. But it's just been the negotiation with it. It's just been a little bit longer process.
So, and the negotiations with the landowners are completed now, or?
Yes, they're in the very final phase.
So the amount of land that is purchased, I remember when you did this on the Fifth Side Road, you weren't here then, but some of my land, I think it was quite a public process. Is it known what amount of land has been taken over for this project?
It will be. It will be. I'll be bringing a report back to council to detail that, but it is captured in the reference plan that's been deposited.
And my understanding is that you have a commitment from the previous winner of the tender. If you can go ahead by May of 26 this year.
That's correct.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I'm hopeful we could secure. We have good experience. I've worked with this contractor personally for many years, and I'm hopeful that I could get this over the finish line here with the property and get it awarded and bring that report back to council to get that project awarded. They've graciously extended their bid price, which was favorable in April. And
Okay.
so I'm looking forward to starting this project. It's been a lot of years.
I look forward to seeing this project proceed. It's an interesting area of geography.
Yeah, that's what's complicated. It's complicated.
And I've just forgotten, what type of bridge is this going to be? I know it's a two-lane bridge. What was the construction?
It'll be cast in place footings that are kind of perched up behind the existing structure, and it'll be a multi-plate, still steel multi-plate. We've planned it, we've captured the future into the design. So if there's ever a need to expand, there's the ability to not have to remove the structure. It could simply be extended.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any further questions? Fred?
So, council, I would just like to recommend one minor amendment to this bylaw. So the bylaw, in order to get it published on time for the agenda, hadn't completed its review with legal. That was completed after it was published, and they've recommended that Article 2C in the bylaw is redundant and is no longer needed. So that's the one that says that the treasurer is authorized to make payment of the purchase price and so on and so forth. Article 2B that gives full authority to the CAO to undertake everything needed to make this happen is sufficient. So I'm recommending we just strike out 2C.
Okay. I don't know that that has a bearing on the motion that we would be passing, but
I would suggest, Your Worship, we just add in it as amended.
as amended, okay. Fred?
Yeah, I had a question for Matt, and I'm going on memory. The reason we're redoing Bridge 5 is we had an inspection some years ago, which deemed that we had to do something with the bridge. Given how long this has taken, it occurs to me that our bridge inspections, I think, are every 2 years. Have we passed the point where, Okay, do we have any liability if there was a problem on that bridge now? Like if it was 5 years ago that they did the inspection and we're still driving over that bridge, isn't there potentially a problem?
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Nix. So, yeah, we do biennial bridge inspections every other year, and the town engineer has been monitoring it. The staff have been monitoring it. Certainly, the sooner the better for these things. They get replaced. The bridge was constructed in the 1920s, so it's over 100 years old. So it was rehabilitated in 1999.
Right.
The head walls only. No structural components were part of that rehabilitation in 99. That was still, 27, almost 27 years ago. So there's some guide rail added to it. There was wood timbers for the barriers, but the main focus is the footings. The footings are undermined. It's on shale. I'm not sure if you've been down there, but it's on shale, and the barrel of the structure was monitored by the town's engineer, and to be able to allow it to remain open. As council knows, the structure is closed. That section of road is closed in October till April every year, and we kind of have a look at things at that point in time. And we're looking forward to getting it replaced.
Okay, thank you.
So, sorry if I looked askance, but it's a sore point with me that in 1999 we did something with it, and here we are now having to do a lot with it. We obviously didn't do enough.
Maybe about another 20 years.
Anyway, I have a motion that we introduce and give the necessary readings to a bylaw to authorize necessary readings to a bylaw as amended to authorize the acquisition of lands to widen a highway, that it be signed by the mayor and clerk for the town of Mono, sealed and engrossed in the bylaw book. Do I have a mover for that? Deputy Mayor Nix moves, seconded by Councillor Mankelo. Any further discussion? Any opposition? And that motion is carried. That brings us to Schedule A. And I think a few of us have indicated the items that we wish to discuss. Fred, do you have any, I think you've got some emails from myself and Elaine. I don't know if anyone else put their oar in the water on this, but we have lots of time today.
No, those were the only two on council who gave me an indication what they'd like to discuss, Your Worship. And the first one is item number 6, the environmental assessment regulations for municipal infrastructure.
Okay, and whose item was that? That's my item. Okay.
No?
No. I think I put that there. I don't know if you
Yeah,
did
I
as
think
well.
it's Elaine's item. Yeah. Okay, Elaine?
Well, my question would be, because they're, giving us an opportunity to provide feedback, are we going to provide said feedback?
Depends whether we like it or not, I guess.
Well, I mean, who would review this to provide that feedback? Planning?
So, Councillor Capes, I've reviewed the proposal that they're offering. I feel generally comfortable that they're not fast tracking. They're still requiring Indigenous outreach. They talk a lot about archaeological studies. They're still requiring all the same reports to be prepared prior to your self-assessment, and the minister still reviews the self-assessment process, and the minister still has the power to step in and ask for more reports with respect to these. It's drilling down its focus on water, sewage, wastewater, and in-water or shoreline projects, to still remain that those projects are in the EA process. And it's taking out things such as an expansion to an existing wastewater treatment plant, where an EA process had already been completed at the original install, and they're trying to eliminate the municipal and and potential, definitely the municipal requirement to go through a generally a duplicate process that they've already gone through, where all the hydrological and engineering studies will still be required with respect to effluent quality and things of such. There is one section with respect to exempting private new sewage plants that I'm a bit confused on, that I may entertain submitting a comment on, but generally I don't see a lot of concerns in this.
That's great. Thank you very much, Mike.
Next item, Fred?
The next three, Your Worship, were ones that you asked for, and that's item number 7.
Okay, this is the resolution that I introduced at County Council to encourage the province and the LCBO to sell off its considerable stockpile of American alcohol, with the proceeds, at least the profits, going to support food banks in Ontario. This has been done in Nova Scotia, I believe, Newfoundland and Labrador, PEI, and I believe Manitoba. It's been very successful and very welcomed by the sector that operates food banks. Somebody from the food bank organization, the Ontario organization, reached out to me and indicated that about a third of the food banks in Ontario are extremely worried that they will not survive past 6 months, given the current situation, notwithstanding all the great work they do. The Premier Ford has turned this down flat, and I think he needs to be reminded that something that was immensely popular in other provinces and goes to the benefit of food banks is something that should not be turned down flat, should be reconsidered, and I'd like this council to support my motion. 100%. Councillor Capes?
I would definitely support this motion. The province needs to show up where they've been absent. We shouldn't even have food banks, but I won't go there. So, you know, they're part of the problem, and so if they've got a solution to help the food banks so that we don't have people not getting enough food, which means then their health deteriorates, which means then they end up in the health care system. So I support this fully.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So basically what's happened is you brought a motion to Dufferin County Council and it was passed, and so then the clerk sent a letter to Mr. Ford. So us and you as our representative of the town of Mono, and town of Mono being part of Dufferin, I'm not sure why we need to get into, aside from that it's something that we do often, I don't know, it seems duplicative to me, considering the fact that, yes, everything that you have just said about food banks is extremely important. That's not really the issue with the American alcohol. It is a grander issue, and Ontario has made, I mean, that's $80 million. It's a lot more money than what's going on in that Newfoundland and Manitoba and so on. And not to say that we don't have a problem here with the food banks, but I think it is muddying the water with respect to some leverage that we are seen to have, because of course we've already spent the money on it. So I get the point of wanting to do something, but we're just moving the money around. So if we wanted, and then losing we don't have a thing to say that we've got all year, we won't be selling your stuff. So I think it's duplicative, I guess, is the best. And if there's some other thing that we can be doing to improve our food bank situation, then I think that we should be doing that on its own as a separate thing.
Well, right now, the county contributes tens of thousands of dollars, and maybe Fred can, I think it's about $50,000 a year to the 3 local food banks. And, you know, it's not that I'm trying to interfere in provincial issues. I'm trying to find a way of supporting local food banks so that they don't have to keep coming back to the county level of government asking for more and more money. This would be a one-time shot in the arm, well worth considering. And of course, it's duplicative in the same sense that every other motion that we get from other municipalities, we weigh in on and we lend our support to. So I don't take no for an answer from this government. I think they need to know that this is an important issue, and if they don't want to do it, what do they plan to do with the $80 million worth of liquor that's sitting in a warehouse somewhere?
Could somebody elaborate on the finances here? We have a value of the alcohol, and then we have a discussion of profits. And we also have $2 million. What are we talking about?
Well, I believe the $2 million is in alcohol that will probably go bad. I suspect it's beer. And I cannot speculate as to what the net profit would be because there would still be the cost of shipping the product out to the LCBO stores and processing it much as they would if it was any other form of alcohol. So it may be 20 million. I don't know what the net would be, but it's better than nothing. And right now, the food banks are being offered nothing.
So the concern here, I think, of Ford's concern, and he's been very strong on being not supporting the American economy as a response to the tariffs. And personally, I'm quite with him on that. So the problem here is that is he going to see that this is giving in to the Americans by selling their liquor?
We've already bought it. We've already supported the American economy.
So we own this.
We own it.
It's not on.
It's all bought. It's bought, paid for, and stored.
Okay. So if that's the situation, then I understand your concerns. It's being wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciate what Linda's saying here. There's two separate issues here. Really, one is three issues, I guess. But I think it's not an unreasonable blend to go ahead with this.
And, $50,000 of our money in Dufferin is going towards the food banks now, and I can guarantee you that amount is inadequate, and they will be back asking for more.
The visual when the American bourbon and so on was sold in the other provinces and people lining up and everything, it reinforces that America is important to us and so on. Like I just. And just going to say it one more time, in that, yes, when we support something from Simcoe County or from Renfrew or whatever, then we are all of a sudden, getting wind on our Schedule A of something from some other area, whereas we already voted, you two voted on it.
Well, I think we've had county matters that we've brought to the local council to inform everyone as to what Fred and I have done or what position we've taken. And all we're doing here or all I'm trying to get done here is a motion of support for something that we've already voted unanimously for at the county level.
And if it needs moving, I'll move it.
Okay. No, I don't know that I actually formed a motion. I was going to ask Fred if he could a simple motion of endorsement.
If that's what you're looking for, Your Worship, this is what I suggest. It's a bit of a compromise between real simple and full-on resolution. The Council for the Town of Mono supports and endorses the resolution passed by Dufferin County calling on the province to sell off the stockpile of American alcohol with profits going to Ontario food banks, including the Orangeville and Grand Valley food banks, as well as the Shepherd's Cupboard Food Bank in Shelburne.
Perfect. And Fred is moving, and Elaine is seconding. Any further discussion? Any opposed? The motion's carried. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
I did not, you had number 9 next, and if we're just going in order, I wanted to ask a question about number 8. Could I
Oh, sure.
step in and ask a question about number 8? This is the one that, that Grand Valley, so another one of our neighbors, has resolved to leave the Dufferin County Building Services. And I wasn't quite understanding why Amaranth did it when they did it. And now we've got Grand Valley doing it. And so I just needed, again, I don't know, reassurance that what we're doing here in Mono is the right thing to do from but our CAO is chatting about something, so maybe he's not
I'm
listening.
going to let Fred handle this.
I think that's a good question, and I've talked to Amaranth as to why they did it. Well, I was going to say they have a very low volume of planning activity, although recently they had some very large ones. They just felt they got a better deal with this company that they now are contracting to do their planning services. And the background to that was, and John and I shared this at the county level, there has been some dissatisfaction with planning department at the county. I have talked to staff very briefly about whether Mono should consider this. I don't know the answer. I will say that there's been some changes at the county level with planning, and now I'm going to call her the director.
You mean building department?
The whole building department, under which planning falls, not just the building department, but all of Raj's department. She handles the planning. I think we got some better people now, and the only other thing I can add, and I'm not sure this is related to Grand Valley's decision, but we're leaving one planning position unfilled at the county level now. I would guess it's presumably because of Amaranth and Grand Valley.
We don't need it, right?
Yeah, I assume that's why we're leaving that position vacant. I really can't answer the question, Councillor Davey, as to whether Mono should look at this or not. I don't know. Maybe they should. I don't know.
Mike, would you like to weigh in?
So council already directed staff to provide the treasurer's response with respect to the building services, and we've vetted that already and decided that to stay with the county. With respect to the planning section, though, I don't know how this falls in line with the building services. They're two separate departments, whether they're under the same umbrella. But they are two definitively separate. One's building code, and the other is uses.
They're overseen by the same director.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, and that's not a registered planner, to the best of my understanding.
No.
Right. So, and I do know from a planning perspective, I do know the county provides Langton with a planning, and I have spoke to Liam and Raj with respect to what they may or may not be able to do for the town of Mono. But with our consultants right now, we're finding a good cost recovery model.
With the planning, but the building services part, is that because, I mean, like Grand Valley's got a lot of stuff going on, and as you say, Amaranth's got stuff going on, and so they're able to compare apples to apples in the minute now, because they have needs for the building services versus ours. When we analyze it, it's been really good, what we've had already, so why mess with a good thing? I guess.
The building department's pretty yes or no based on code, and permits required to build certain items. And I think Grand Valley is listed with Orangeville and Shelburne as receiving all of our growth. And they do have substantial growth outlined in Grand Valley. And I would think that the control may come from, it may be, I'm not sure of the reason behind this, but walking down the hall and speaking to somebody in your building department may be the better answer, and somewhat more not necessarily streamlined, because it's still, like I say, it's a permit based against a building code that has a defined set of rules. I do think it may be more convenient for residents. The county does have an online portal now that all building permits are submitted through, which really helped out Mono, because people would show up here with to submit their building permits and find out that they had to go back to the county and drop off the drawings there and then come back here and get the municipal approval. That's all done digitally now. So the convenience for Mono has improved, and I'm thinking that the Grand Valley has assessed this as is only assumption that they've assessed this as going to be impactful enough and enough growth in the future, and it would be better overseen inside.
And
Great, thank
I
you.
can add one aspect to this, and that was there was a level of concern, dissatisfaction with customer service, and the slowness with which building permits were being dealt with, and in some instances, the way they were being dealt with. And there were situations where the county was taken to the Ontario Appellate Building Tribunal, or whatever they call themselves, by individuals who felt that the requirements being imposed by the building department were in excess of what the code needed. And in one case recently in the town of Mono, the Dufferin County was overruled, in fact. So I think subsequent to that, and as a result of Amaranth leaving and now Grand Valley giving notice that they would be leaving, the county has received the message about the importance of good customer service, being responsive, maybe not being as hidebound as they have been in the past. And I have to say that my interactions with them have been very positive in the last 6 months. So I think they've, they're doing as good a job for us as we would probably do for ourselves. I would also add that when you leave the building department, you also leave a substantial amount of money on the table, inasmuch as the building department often runs a surplus, and in terms of building permit fees. And if they have a surplus as a result of contributions of your municipality, when you leave the building department, you don't get to take that with you, which is interesting. You used to be able to, but you can't now.
Can I have a comment?
Yeah.
This is just a tiny concern that I would have, though, with us leaving, or Grand Valley and Amaranth leaving. Right now, Dufferin County, along with Wellington and Gray, has worked on a voluntary green standards for the building code. We're not allowed to touch the Ontario building code, but we can have voluntary standards. And I would assume that if the county is handling building permits in Dufferin, that they would encourage people to read the guidebook they put out. Or I don't know how it's going to work, because it's not actually working yet. That, developer comes along, he's got 100 houses, here's the plans. Oh, have you looked at our voluntary green standards that you could add to it? If you leave the county, I'm just not sure we'll have that same level of enthusiasm for these voluntary standards. That's a concern. It's not a statement of fact.
Thank you. Mike?
So yeah, good point. I know Mono does have green standards requirements with respect to any new development, and we implemented it in Fieldstone when those houses were built, but they weren't the green standards of today. And I think the county had commenced quite a ways with their preparation on the Gray County, Wellington County, Dufferin green standards. I attended a few meetings with respect to those. So yeah, I do think that this new we've added it to the agenda for the climate. You've added it to the agenda. The name of it escapes me right now, but it's the county trying to help out with low interest loans and stuff with respect to upgrades like this. And I can't remember, the better homes that the county was doing. So I think it's in the appropriate hands of the appropriate committee right now to still push with that. And I think there's a point system that it's based on if you do X amount of green standards, that you could receive points and also receive, and those are still generally a little bit being funded by the province, but not a lot. With respect to the comment on the surplus, so the county has, I've been working with the county and the remaining municipalities that utilize the county building department with respect to updating the agreement, which is fairly old, similar to what was occurring in the Shelburne, I guess, the 1991 agreement, right? So that agreement does have a reconciliation accounting report that treasurer would receive on an annual basis to outline any surpluses that may or may not have been occurred over the course of the year, and any surpluses to come back to the town of Mono. So that, but I don't know the current process off the top of my head, but I do know it's being looked at, and it should be in a draft agreement that council will see hopefully shortly with the county.
Thank you. Fred, would the next item be the Brant County resolution? And
Yes, that's correct, Your Worship.
I simply wanted, I can't open it on my computer here, but I think it's a fairly good and exhaustive analysis of the current situation, and not surprisingly, people are seeing increased speeding in places that heretofore had safety cameras, and wondering why people have reverted back to their driving habits, and it's not surprising. And of course, what was also shut down, and I dare say this, was a revenue stream from this that we badly need. And I know I will get into trouble with various people for saying that, but every dime that we can collect from somebody other than the taxpayer, I think is a good thing. And I'm talking about people who are obviously caught breaking the Ontario Highway Traffic Act. And they are, of course, taxpayers, but they're also breaking provincial law.
So did you want to just endorse this? Is that what you're asking us to do?
I'm in the hands of council. I just wanted to sound off on it.
Okay, because we've already kind of like hit the
We
horse here. And interestingly, big, huge, full-page adverts, well, maybe they're on my iPad, so I can't tell whether it's really full-page or whatever, but adverts from the government about the things that they are doing with respect to helping speed. And this horse is left. I don't think that's coming back.
And none of them are terribly applicable to our situation in the town of Mono, possibly with the exception of gigantic signs at Mono Amaranth Public School. But speed bumps do not work in places where we have egregious speeding. And of course, the province has done nothing about the schedule of fines. Having said that. Okay, I have a motion that we accept Schedule A to this agenda. Oh.
You also said you wanted to talk about 10. I've written down that you said you wanted to talk about 10.
And I'm at a disadvantage because I can't open the,
It was the Smith Falls
Infrastructure fund, the community infrastructure.
yeah, I know I like this report, but I can't open it on my computer, so I'm happy to pass. Yeah. So do I have a mover for Councillor Davey, seconded by Councillor Magdalo? Any opposed? And that motion is carried. And that-
Your Worship, I think that was worth looking at and saying, because they asked for the Ministry of Infrastructure to publish an annual performance report, which makes it transparent and publicly accessible so that we can see where these funds are going and that they are actually distributing these funds. So sorry to come back to that after you've closed the Schedule A.
Would council agree to?
I would support us endorsing that. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Any opposition to that? Fred, do you have a wording that you can suggest on that?
This is what I had, should this come up, Your Worship, that Council for the Town of Mono supports and endorses the resolution passed by the Town of Smith Falls, calling on the province to extend the annual OSIF envelope at not less than $400 million beyond its current 5-year term ending in 2026, with no reductions in subsequent provincial budgets, and that the total OSIF envelope and each individual municipal allocation be indexed to the Ontario Consumer Price Index.
I now see why I like that, even though I couldn't open it. Is it the wish of council to endorse this okay. So we will send that motion of support, and we have approved Schedule A.
So is there going to be a standalone resolution moved to
Yeah,
second
moved
on that?
by Councillor Cape, seconded by Councillor Mantalo. Any opposition? Motion's carried. Okay, reports of council and staff. Anything, Les?
I don't have anything today, Your Worship.
Thank you. Matt?
Just quickly, as council is aware, we had a bit of wacky weather over the holidays, and so Public Works and many other municipalities declared significant weather event for different amounts of time over the holidays and extending into the new year. We're December 29th to the 7th. I'm sure everybody's also been hearing salt shortages throughout. We've managed to kind of stay ahead of that and get our orders out early. Goderich is basically, the Goderich mine over on Lake Huron's been running 24/7. I'm not sure if you've seen it in the news or not, but they're running the full capacity. They can't produce any more. Salt's there, it's getting out of the ground and up to everybody. So we're pretty good shape still. We've obviously used more than we have in recent years, but we're in good shape as far as capacity goes. We're going to be filling the sand in the next month or so, and we have salt in house, and we have about 9 loads expected this week for straight salt. So,
Just a comment to commend Public Works. I think they've done a fantastic job over this season, and you're, not that I didn't expect it, but people from outside from Toronto say, I wish we lived up here. People who live in Toronto say we wish we lived up here, so very well done, Matt.
thanks, Councilor Mantalo. I'd like to thank them too, because it's a thankless job a lot of the time. We have got lots of thank yous, which is nice to hear from the public, because it's relenting, especially when the blowing snow, and then you get a good road base, especially on the gravels, and then the snow gets built up, and then we had all that warm spell, but you have to take all the snow off the road. So the guys have got it down to a good science, even when these weather events are being thrown at them. I trust them. I have a lot of trust in them, and so thank you. I'll make sure that gets passed along.
Absolutely. Kim?
Thank you, Your Worship. Couple things again, just salt and recreation is, we too use quite a bit of salt in keeping the walkways and pathways clear, so to the halls. And in anticipation of what was going on, our staff jumped ahead, and they were able to get enough salt. So we're in good shape as far as keeping those walkways clear. And I too want to give a big shout out to the recreation staff who over the holiday period did keep the hall walkways and pathways clear, did rink inspections. All 3 rinks are now up and running, and we were able to get the Mono Center rink in thanks to the volunteers. They put it in this past weekend. The liner only arrived late last week, so it was a bit on delay, but after back and forth with the vendor, it was hurried up a little bit. Anyways, we've got all three rinks in now, so we're ready to roll for Winterfest, which is great. And speaking of Winterfest, we do have a number of upcoming events. we've got next week for our first time on the 22nd, we've got our Moonlight Snowshoe. That's a first time for that event being put on by the Recreation Advisory Committee from 7 to 8 p.m. at Mono Center. And one of the focus on that events was to highlight the fact that we do have 40 pairs of snowshoes available for residents of Dufferin County to borrow from a Thursday to a Monday. All they have to do is go online and look up snowshoe borrowing program that we have available, and they can borrow them for free, bring them back on the Monday, and then we get them cleaned up and reset and put them back up on our website for borrowing again for the following weekend. So just letting everyone know that we do have this snowshoe borrowing program, which we're really happy to be able to offer thanks to a grant from the Ontario Trillium Foundation. So again, next Thursday is the first time Moonlight Snowshoe Walk at Mono Center. And then, of course, if everyone wants to mark their calendars for Sunday, February 1st, which is Winterfest, 12 noon to 4 p.m. And you all know that I will be in touch very shortly in regards to your participation in that event. So other than that, I think that's about it.
Thank you. Fred?
Council will recall the property on Fourth Line that was subject to a court-ordered cleanup with all the costs being borne by the landowners. So those costs have been paid in full.
Excellent. Good work. Mike?
A little bit long, but generally, I've been sort of advising council that the town of Orangeville has, in our monthly CAO meetings that I attend, Orangeville has been advising that they will be looking at their recreation fees in the coming year for a 2027 implementation. I believe it's Orangeville's deputy mayor that's been very, very vocal about this. With respect to the fact that non-resident users are not paying any capital investment and that the taxpayers of the town of Orangeville are solely on the hook for any capital reinvestment, and that the programming fees that are charged are generally only covering the cost to put on the program. And so they attended our CAO's meeting late last week, provided generally 3 options, which I wasn't surprised at the content of the options. Obviously, status quo, which is generally not being recommended by their staff. They're looking at a cost share model where the fees would remain the same, but the municipalities would put money towards operations and maintenance on a cost per capita basis. That'd be done through a formula. There'd be no delays to our residents with respect to registration for programming, which is occurring now. And it'd be an annual payment from municipalities. They're also looking at potentially a capital surcharge where the fees would remain the same, but the funds, capital surcharge funds would put into reserve contributions, and those would be obviously from the town of Mono. And then a user pay surcharge, which is capital payments are borne by the user. 300-400% increase in swimming lesson fee to a user. They're definitely, it was voiced that at the meeting that when you get into capital surcharge that the participating municipalities would be having a seat at a board. That was nixed. Of course. That was not in support by the town of Orangeville, so I'll continue to, I think that's important, that if we are to pay capital or requested to pay capital fees, we would be at a board level, but I think they're looking at the same model as the Orangeville Fire. With respect to municipalities that do not want to participate in their capital surcharge process, which basically was the question was asked, they're looking at a huge user pay for a non-resident. So So yeah, it's coming down, the governance model is being reviewed by Town of Orangeville staff to be submitted to their council, and I would think that council can expect to see something in the coming months with respect to how Orangeville plans to fund their facilities, and the statement that Orangeville made was that non-participating non-residents need to pay for the opportunity, not just the experience.
Can I just speak to that for a second?
Go ahead.
Mike, Kim and I attended a meeting at the last council with Orangeville, and I guess Amaranth. And of course, all these issues were brought up. They provided us with very nice sandwiches, but we didn't agree to it. And the one thing that always irks me, I mean, right now they charge non-residents in their skating rinks and swimming programs, I think it's about a 14%. Is it 25? Over what an Orangeville resident would pay. And okay, that's fine, but of course they want more. But my point back to them always is, I hear you, of course, they don't pay for any of our capital costs for Menorah, and the majority of members of the Mono Nordic Ski Club are Orangeville residents. They pay a slightly higher fee than an Orangeville resident, but they don't pay for any capital for Menorah, so it works both ways. But the other thing Orangeville always forgets is this. Most Mono residents, when we do our shopping, when we go to the dentist, when we go to the doctor, when we do the banking, when we do anything in Orangeville, are supporting businesses in Orangeville which pay business taxes to Orangeville. So it isn't as if we're getting a total free ride. Every time I go to the bank in Orangeville, that bank is paying Orangeville some property taxes, right? I don't do my banking in the town of Mono. I'm not making any conclusions here as to where we should go on this, but if we're going to have discussions with Orangeville, I think we have to keep that in mind.
I think those are great points. I don't think that CIBC is asking us for capital improvements to their building, though. Right? So I think it's great points. The interesting thing that was stated, that Orangeville's going to be looking at parkland following a hopefully successful implementation of this cost share model. So they've heard this. And I'm not sure whether we outnumber Orangeville in our parks, and whether so there's obviously Orangeville's very concerned about this, and I think that there there's definitely going to be some fruitful discussions on this in the coming months, I believe, with respect to how this will be laid out.
Melinda?
Thank you very much. This is extremely interesting. It's about level of service, right? Like the building a new pool or renovating a pool and having a problem with it and it costing a whole lot of money, and then immediately having one that dies, and how are we going to reset it and so on. And the idea that we just really have to have it, and the idea that mono residents, I know that Elaine feels very strongly that mono residents deserve and have to have, and it's just like the roads and the bridges, and it's the level of service. Is it really something that everybody has to pay and pay and pay and pay for, because it all just gets to be more and more and more, right? It's going to be a big interesting discussion.
Elaine?
Thank you. It is interesting, and really, and I've heard Lisa Post mention this at a county council meeting, and I've said this for years. We should be making a business case and a pitch to the YMCA. I made this pitch when my kids were still in elementary school, because somebody wanted to buy the land and create a trucking center right next to Primrose Elementary School and destroy the biosphere. Anyway, we could really use a Y. If we had a YMCA, they could provide aftercare programs for children, they could provide programs we need, and they could run it. It's a user pay system. That's the business that they are in, and we could, I think we need to, maybe I have it on my list of things to do, is try and attract the YMCA to Dufferin County. So anyway, I just mentioned that.
Ralph?
Listening to this discussion, it's interesting because it fills us in a little bit more on, it's not a one-way street, and I think that's very important in discussing with Orangeville. Obviously, Mona residents are very supportive of all the businesses, or many of the businesses within Orangeville, and they would not have the same number of businesses if the people from outside Orangeville were not there supporting them. Secondly, we're being asked to pay for services or facilities and the services they provide in Orangeville. It's very important that we realize that Mono is providing facilities and services as well for Orangeville people. And you brought out a very important one, Fred, which is Menorah and all the trail systems. So these are not inconsequential, and they should be a part of the discussion.
Well, just to conclude, possibly, I almost don't want to get going on this because I think Fred has stated wonderfully the arrangement that we have as Orangeville is our, quote, market town, unquote, and the businesses that are supported as a result of Mono and other residents. I'd feel better supporting their capital needs if I thought they were managing their capital projects a little bit better than they have in the last 10, 15 years. Look at the cost overruns on the pool and the delay in reopening that pool. Look at the disaster known as Tony Rose, soon to be the biggest money pit going if they decide to fix it up or replace it. Again, we're not given, a lot of reason to have confidence in throwing money at stuff that frankly has been mismanaged over the years, and I don't mind saying that. This is almost like a Trumpian tariff on the residents surrounding Orangeville, and I am concerned by that. I really am, especially if they view it as this is what you pay, and if you don't want it, we're going to surcharge the heck out of your residents.
When you talk about the management thing, like I do know that there has been discussion, and again, Elaine has brought this up with respect to Mono residents commenting that they can't get the services for their children, they can't get into the programs. Is that, like, how much do you have to provide for everybody? Like that, we need to know really the numbers and whether it's just a matter of holding back and making sure that all those in Orangeville get an opportunity and then Mono gets in. And yes, we can all, and so therefore even we would be agreeing to providing a service for them that is able to support us versus the potential, I think, for that there really are too many people for the facilities that are there. Like, do we have that access to that data, that everybody in Mono who wants to be serviced by these surrounding municipalities for these various services, are they getting the service?
So council supports reimbursement for swimming lessons through the recreation department. We do have that value. That doesn't speak to the fact of whether every resident looks for the reimbursement or not. Orangeville has stated that they'll be sharing data. Obviously, if there's a formula-based per capita use, and there wouldn't be all the residents in Mono that would be under that formula, because Rosemont area may use Newtek or Nottawasaga Inn for swimming lessons or ice skating or hockey and so forth, right? So there is supposed to be numbers coming forward, and Kim would be able to speak to some of those, but I'm not sure. To the best of my knowledge, the only reimbursement processes are through our swimming process. We don't have any other of their yoga programs or anything that they might be holding inside of the Alder Center. We're only encouraging the need for people to swim, learn how to swim from a safety perspective, right? So, but yeah, these numbers I think will start to come out, and yeah, I think usage on a per capita basis is definitely known, and does this guarantee our residents are going to get in now? If the facilities are full and they're concerned about Mono residents having the same time, that the same access at the same time, then I don't know how supporting capital is going to open up capacity. So.
Well, the only solution I could see there is that your sign up is on a lottery basis where everybody has an equal chance.
And those were mentioned, that the phone lines open at the same time for everybody, which is very equitable, in my opinion, which is the way that these facilities should be run.
Which they don't.
Right now, there's a delay in the,
Sign up.
to the best of my knowledge, swimming for sure, because Councillor Capes has identified that. But I'm not sure what happens with their other programming that they run through their facilities.
Elaine, and then I'm going to move on to reports of
Yeah,
councillors.
and yes, data is helpful, but the thing is, you won't know the number of people that were declined access, because they don't record that. And there is Orangeville residents come first. That's their philosophy and how they run the business. And so if there's any space left over, then Mono residents have access, or residents from outside of Orangeville have access. And so we don't know how many people, except for the people who call me who can't get in, will not get access to the pool. Now, maybe there's an alternative, and maybe that is that we purchase swim time that is for Mono residents only, just like you do with ice time at different arenas, so that we have a block that is just Mono residents. And yes, Your Worship, there has been some question about management of the facilities. And I know some issues with, some of the programs they run that people I know were connected to. And I don't want to smear Orangeville staff here, but there have been multiple issues in how those things are run. That's why I say YMCA is a good choice. They know what they're doing.
Okay. Melinda.
No, just to reiterate that we do have some events coming up, and hope to see everybody at the next weekend, or next Thursday at the Snowshoe. But I don't have, we're just gearing up for the meetings for the new year, so that's all I have.
Mike, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have anything else? Okay.
No, thanks, I'm fine.
Yeah, thank you. Ralph?
I'm good.
Okay. Fred?
Just two things. One, John and I were at a county meeting last Thursday, and we discussed the budget. Walking into it, the draft budget was at a tax increase of about 6.87%. But what the meeting was about, there was a list of 3 things they wanted to add to the budget, which had the effect of adding about 1.5% to it. And all those 3 things were accepted. I don't need to go into details. And there was 9 things where we could decrease the budget by taking things out. We had a good, healthy debate about that, and I don't have an exact count of which ones were in or out. The important one for the town of Mono was that one of the 9 things that we could possibly take out was the road rationalization implementation date, which was going to be this year. I went into the meeting arguing, yes, let's drop that, because if you remember, when we take over County Road 8, the payment we're going to get for that is less than it's going to cost us to operate. So my thought, and I mentioned it to Matt, was if we can delay it by a year, we save those extra costs that we're not going to get from the county for maintaining County Road 8. However, I changed my mind during the discussion, and it was for a good reason, because the problem is if we did delay the implementation of road rationalization by 1 year, you would have a new county council next year. And this issue has been very contentious before County Council. At one time was so contentious about 10 years ago, they withdrew the suggestion. So we decided in the end, it's better, let's go ahead with road rationalization this year, make the change in ownership of the road, and start making those payments to the lower tier municipalities. If I've got the dates right, Matt, we will be owners of County Road 8 on June 1st of this year, and I think the payments follow shortly thereafter. What the bottom line impact is on the tax increase for the county, I don't have an exact number because they still had to do some figuring out, but it'll probably be in the range of a 3 to 4% tax increase. The second thing I wanted to mention, John, was that the official opening of the Heart Hub will be on January 23rd. You might need to register to get invited. I'm not exactly sure. This is very exciting. It's just the beginning. It's going to be in the Idlebrock Center. And of course, we're doing it with provincial money. In fairness, we should thank the province. Heart is homelessness and addiction rehabilitation. That's what the start of it is. But at the end of the day, we're going to be turning the Idlebrock Center into the main focus point for a whole bunch of social services. We'll have the Heart Hub there. We'll have, we already have the Ontario Works there. All our home programs where we assist people with homes our staff are going to remain there. But in addition, we'll have other offices. We're going to eventually have a doctor, full-time on-salary doctor there with a room. The thought of there is right now, 16% of our population doesn't have a family doctor. I think it's 16. Don't quote me. So what happens is people without a family doctor, when something's wrong, they go to the hospital. And our emergency room is way over capacity, although they will be expanding it. So with a doctor that people off the street or whatever can walk into at the Idlebrock Center, they may still send them to the hospital, the emergency room, but they could probably do a lot of pre-screening and fix things up. Anyway, this is the beginning of it. I'm going to go to the opening. If you want to come, it's on January 23rd. Just check about how many people are allowed or whether you need to register. That's my report.
Thank you. Elaine?
Thanks for bringing all that information forward, Fred. It's very important because, as you know, I was involved in DC moves, and now we've gone from a no wrong door approach to a one door approach. And that's because we were able to start that journey a long time ago of collaboration. And the center will be for physical, mental health and social services. So it will be, it'll be quite something. And I don't have too much to report, and just to remind us that my notice of motion about the Baker property, AKA Hockley Lands, is coming. Maybe I'll get that ready for the next meeting.
Ralph?
I have a question for Fred. Fred, you brought up something which has bothered me in the past, and I'm not quite sure where it stands now, and that's the fact that we're assuming Mono Center Road. The costs that we're going to be incurring by that are less than the money that's being forwarded to us by county, significantly less. Significantly less. I think a matter of number of times less.
No, they made an assumption that we would only maintain it at 80% of the level of what the county maintains it. In talking to, so right off the bat, that's 20% of the cost gone. But in addition to that, and Matt can elaborate on that, when he went over the condition of the road, I think his estimate of what the maintenance costs are for that road and capital costs are higher than what the county was suggesting.
Exactly. And so that's why I'm bringing this up, because of that discrepancy. I'm asking, is there any room for us to alter this agreement?
Here's my trouble. Technically, when the motion passed that authorized all this, I voted at the county level. I voted against it. I did prepare a motion to reconsider, and the rules are if you voted against the main motion, you cannot introduce a motion to reconsider. I had lined up somebody who had voted for the motion to bring forth the motion to reconsider, and to date, she hasn't done it. She's let me down a little bit.
So the question is there another avenue to reconsider this? And the other avenue is possibly from the town itself, through our own building department, not building department, Matt. In other words, is there room for us to approach the county indicating that we'd like to revisit this because we feel that there's a significant financial discrepancy?
Probably ask Matt. I don't know what avenues I have on county council. I've tried, and I cannot introduce a motion to reconsider.
My understanding of the Municipal Act, the upper tier has the ability to download or upload as they deem appropriate. I think that there's some good conversation between colleagues, between Public Works, Dufferin and Mono, that they could maybe help us out. I've had some conversations with Mr. Burns with that respect. You remember my report, we estimated about $110,000 a year in operation maintenance. The real cost is the 10-year and beyond capital improvements. So I think that they were flexible to that discussion, but I don't think there's any avenue in there that we could just deny or request more funds based on what the Municipal Act says.
Matt, can I encourage you to have continued discussions with Scott Burns on this? Because it would, as somebody who lives next to Mono Center Road, it would be galling to me to see county equipment going back and forth on a municipal road to service, for example, Airport Road, with the plow blade up. If you know what I mean, it's the old story about, why does this happen? But maybe there's room there for some rationalization of the maintenance at the very least.
But I can tell you, John, because I've had this conversation with Scott on several occasions, and his response is always a shrug, and county council passed the motion, and that's what he retreats to.
Yeah, and there'd be obviously a legal or liability issue with plowing a road and providing maintenance to that degree. Like monoplows have been on Mono Center Road for a lot of years, right? We don't plow it. But again, like the services that they provide, the roadside cutting are things that we can maybe enter into some type of an agreement with, guide rail, crack seal potentially. Like we have those conversations quite often with the county about sharing certain things, and hopefully that they would be amenable to of maybe offering they have the equipment. So if it works out, I'm hopeful that we could work with them to do that. And I don't think Scott's opposed to that based on the discussions, but we'll certainly keep having them with them.
Thank you. I don't have anything in particular. I'm not going to Roma this year. I don't know if anyone else is going to Roma. Well, that's my point, is that it's deja vu all over again at many of these municipal conferences. And the leadership of the municipal organizations doesn't seem to want to talk about things that we want to talk about or that need to be talked about with the province. They seem more in line with patting the province on the back than being helpful with constructive criticism. So that's my 2 cents worth. Okay. Notices of motion. I have 2. One is, as I indicated, I'll have a motion for council's consideration at the next meeting to have a municipal referendum question. Give the residents of Mono an opportunity to weigh in on this. The second thing is I'll have a notice of motion asking the clerk to address the issue of a request we've had from the Reed family for internments in what is sometimes known as the Reed Cemetery on Highway 10. There's been a request by surviving members of the former Reeve of Mono's family to be interred there. And there is a bit of complexity to it, but Fred has already done a lot of work on this and I think has identified ways that it can be made to happen if we decide that it should happen. Am I fair in that, Fred?
Yes, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. And I did mention that, the Reed request, the Reed family request at a previous council meeting. Any other notices of motion? Okay. No in-camera items today. I have a motion then that we introduce and give the necessary readings to a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Town of Mono in Session 1, 2026, held on the 13th of January, 2026, that it be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and engrossed in the bylaw book. Do I have a mover? Councillor Capes moves, seconded by Councillor Mantalo. Any opposed? Seeing none, that carries. And then finally, unless there's any other business, I have a motion that we adjourn this meeting at 2 minutes past 11 a.m. Moved by Councillor Mantalo, seconded by Councillor Davey. Any opposition? Motion's carried. Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye, Elaine.